Welcome, acolytes. Today I am reacting to NetEase Yo thinks Western devs are lazy, entitled, and woke. Rumored to drop all Western studios. From Vara Dark. Now this is actually something that I'm quite happy to hear. Even though it's not the best for the Western world, but F this... honestly, F them. If you're doing a shitty work, just get kicked out. It's fine.
Rivals and NetEase have been surrounded in a whirlwind of news over the past couple of days, and while we did just hear about the situation where they did lay off some people, NetEase is actually rumored now to pull funding from other Western developers because they are, quote, lazy, entitled, slow, and woke. But before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I have really enjoyed my time in Marvel Rivals. That's why I was so shocked when we heard about the layoff news a few days ago, and that situation was cleared up. It was basically just a support branch in Seattle. Only a few people were laid off. The media blew it out of proportion. And of course, a lot of people were talking about it, but now we're actually hearing more reports that NetEase is apparently going to be pulling a lot of funding from other Western developers, which isn't really that shocking, just given...
As the woman says, it's not even half shocking. If I would employ people like that basically demand a lot of money, a lot of my time, a lot of positive feedback, a lot of things that I'm gonna just look at their wee-wees instead of actually working and providing something, then yes, I would fire them. And by the way, if I actually start to hire people for this channel, and by the way, just acolyte, just because I wanna brag about it a bit, we're nearing the 1,000, so this is a very big stepstone I didn't even think I'm gonna reach. But if I had this and I see that the person is active on social media in any way, in any way, I'm not hiring them. And I mean active, like not just posting photos of their family. I mean really just activist stuff like this. They won't get hired. Simple as that.
The state of the industry and also the negativity surrounding Western developers. When you look at the West, you are seeing Concord, you're seeing Flintlock the Siege of Dawn, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and Avowed, and Dragon Age of Veilguard. And on the flip side, when you're looking at places like South Korea and Japan and even China, you're getting Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, Black Myth Wukong, Stellar Blade, the First Ascendant games that are doing really well right now versus other titles that are really failing. And according to a rumor, not only is NetEase apparently going to be pulling funding from other Western studios, but they also are just struggling because they think that Western developers are apparently lazy and entitled. So it was originally reported by Marvel Rivals game director Thaddeus Sasser that NetEase had laid off his entire Seattle-based team. Now, we do...
Yeah, and by the way, what I want to say, there was always a stigma that Western developers are lazy and thingy-bob. But at the end of the day, acolytes, Western developers always prove themselves that they are freaking effective in anything we do. But right now, these days, the rumors are true.
Do you know that Thaddeus Sasser was basically just the director of this side studio, the support branch? He is not the full-blown game director. I don't know why the media was reporting that at first. Even with my first video that I had put up on the layoffs, I said, this is really weird because this is not the same Chinese individual who has been touted as the creative director. I don't know why he even had that title as like a director of that side studio in the first place, but regardless, he wrote on LinkedIn, "This is such a weird industry. My stellar, talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase Games, and we were just laid off." Now, if this had been actual primary developers that had worked on this game, we would have all been I think probably boycotting Marvel Rivals right now because they did such an incredible job with this game, and it just goes to
Correct.
show that live service can work when you're actually listening to what gamers want. And of course, yes, the IP does help, but the game in general is really fantastic. And then NetEase, of course, had confirmed the layoffs and explained in a statement to IGN, "We recently made the difficult decision to adjust Marvel Rivals development team structure for organizational reasons and to optimize development efficiency for the game." So basically just cutting off dead weight. This resulted in a reduction of a design team based in Seattle that is part of a larger global design
Beautiful.
function in support of Marvel
Beautiful.
Rivals. We appreciate the
Yes, the thing is, if you wanna have a effective company, from what I know, you have to cut off the dead weight. Now, dead weight isn't equal to dead weight, acolytes. Because in the end of the day, you also have to look at the moral and how people feel. It could be that you have a person that's half as effective as someone different, but this person that is half as effective as the other guy is simply a support nail for everyone else. So you basically get out of the supporter 200% of a person while having 100 from the other guy. So you always have to wage those things against each other. Because at the end of the day, if you want to have success, you really have to have hard decisions. And I'm going to be honest, is if I had some wokies in my studio, the thing is, they wouldn't work anyway. That's point one. But point two, they would demoralize every normal human being in that building. So they probably are less than minus 1,000% efficiency.
hard work and dedication of those affected and will be treating them confidentially and respectfully with recognition for their individual contributions. And it just goes to show that these people don't actually really want to act professional themselves, seeing as they all took to their LinkedIn and social media to complain and basically prop themselves up, put themselves up on a pedestal saying, oh, I'm a design director, I'm the game director, look at me, I just got laid off, when we really know now that they were just, again, a support studio. So that also doesn't look good or really bode in their favor when we're hearing now that apparently these Chinese devs are sick and tired of dealing with Westerners BS. Next, they stated, we want to reassure our fan base that the core development team for Rivals, which continues to be led by the lead producer Wai-Kong Wu and the game director Wang Yun Chen in China, remains fully committed to delivering an exceptional experience. But now a new rumor is circulating from Mark Kern indicating that the Chinese company might be pulling funding from multiple Western studios because it believes them to be lazy, entitled, slow, and woke. So, of course, as I always say, take everything online with a grain of salt, a hefty dose of salt in this case, because we don't know for certain if this is going to happen.
Of course we don't. But let us dream. Let us dream that those parasites finally get their consequences. Let us just have this one dream, and maybe it gets fulfilled. Dara, don't be a Karen, please. Just let us. In this case, she's correct about it. Acolytes, she's really correct about it. It's not 100%, but if they just basically start kicking out Western studios, and the efficiency goes up, they won't give a single fuck about it, because the Chinese or Asian countries already have a foot in it. So why would you need a Western studio to actually hold the foot in? They already proven that they can do really good stuff and that people want to play their stuff. So, yeah, woke is not necessary.
But it wouldn't be particularly shocking that this is actually how they feel, given the backlash surrounding the Western gaming development industry versus the Eastern one. So NetEase isn't just laying off the 6-person Marvel Rivals team. NetEase is also pulling funding from Western and potentially Japanese gaming studios. The CEO is said to be very unsatisfied with Western developers, calling them lazy, entitled, slow, and woke behind the scenes, according to a source I spoke with. Here's a list of studios under review and potentially at risk. Fantastic Pixel Castle, Greg Street's MMO project, Rebel Wolves, which are the former Witcher developers, Worlds Untold shuttered in November, Skybox Labs, rumors of issues, we've heard about that one for a very long time, Bad Brain Game Studios, Jark of Sparks, funding pulled in January, T-Minus, Zero Entertainment, Bullet Farm, Quantic Dream, which has been rumored to be in trouble, Spliced, Anchor Point Studios, and more. These are huge investments by NetEase, founded by top vets from the AAA gaming industry, and mostly made during the high-flying game demand driven by COVID boredom, a demand which has since contracted. Now, I do think that it is really important to point out that NetEase is, of course, a major company, and they have a lot of plans that span...
And by the way, this was insanity that a lot of actual companies thought that COVID will be the new norm and not an anomaly. It was so surprising to hear that people actually thought that this will be forever. No, it won't. And now you see why.
Years and years and years, and this to me screams that it could be a political decision because of the trade war. Now, for a very long time, it's been rumored that they've wanted to pull out of the Western gaming industry. That's been rumored for months at this point, and now it sounds like maybe they've hastened this plan because of Trump's tariff. Obviously, I don't know for sure. I can only sit here and speculate like most of you, but it just seems that this timing is really specific, and if we get any other information, I would definitely be curious to see if this is mentioned, but this rumor actually came in the week of reporting from Stephen Totillo at GameFile, who claimed on February 21st that NetEase plans to divest itself of the majority of its overseas teams, leading to the potential closure of more than a dozen game studios if they can't secure new post-NetEase funding. And a NetEase spokesman informed the outlet that all studios and projects are in constant review and evaluation, and NetEase will determine changes needed to be made throughout that process. And this is just what happens when a company like NetEase buys up so many studios and they invest so much in so many places. It's like I talk about with Tencent all the time, right? To get around regulators, what they do is they buy small portions of companies, they invest a little bit, but they spread their net very wide. And then one day they could just go, oh, yeah, well, you're a struggling company. Why don't you just let us buy you out? And why don't you just let us give you some money and then just sell your souls to us? And this has happened with NetEase. NetEase and Tencent are two of the major companies that you actually need to work with to get your video games published in China. That is why Blizzard works with them so often, and EA works with them so often, and they do kind of course have that monopoly. But we also have seen a lot more games of higher quality releasing from China over the past couple of years. Of course, Marvel Rivals is one of them that people have been talking a lot about. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers is another that's coming up. Black Myth Wukong sold over 30 million copies, right? Tons of people right now are talking about the Chinese market, and hey, I think that they are creating some really good games, but on the flip side, it does seem a little bit suspicious that all of these Western studios that they're invested in are failing while their games are skyrocketing to the top of the charts. I know it's been like a tinfoil conspiracy theory for a long time now that, oh, they invested to, push these Western companies into DEI, and then, of course, gamers reject them, and then they look to other regions. Maybe that's the case, and if it is the case, it's working. But as of right now, we are hearing that apparently NetEase is planning to divest itself of the majority of its overseas teams, and apparently it is because they believe Western developers are lazy, entitled, slow, and will...
I'm gonna say it like this, acolytes. If this news came out 10 years ago, I would call bollocks and say, no, they are trying to just get in, they're trying to do their worst, they're just trying by greedy, corrupted means to actually come in and just sell everything they can. However, these days, do you really want to tell me that you would actually put up with some workers, like Western workers, that act like literal children, that are racist against Asian and white people, that are fanning for some terrorist supporter, and allow this to continue? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. And yes, this could also be just the fact that they are using this fact to actually do their stuff. But I'm gonna be honest. I understand, because I would do the exact same. I would do the exact same. I would just get the fuck out there. It's
Woken. As a Westerner myself, who talks every single day about video games, I completely agree with this. We don't know for sure if the CEO actually said this, but let's be honest, it really wouldn't be that far-fetched. The people within the Western gaming industry are politically motivated, egotistical maniacs. They
she's yes, and freaks, but she said it way nicer.
only care about the narratives they want to
Yep,
push,
correct.
and making sure that the content is, in most cases, politically correct enough for them. They are lazy and they feel entitled. So all of these things really do check out, and you can't convince at least me otherwise with all of the games that have failed just over the past year. You have developers and producers and even art directors coming out and saying they want to push, crusty white dudes out of the video game industry.
Yep.
You've got lead producers of games like Tales of the Shire coming out and saying, oh, if you think that DEI initiatives are being pushed onto gaming companies, you're crazy, calling us conspiracy theorists for simply pointing out
Correctly.
the facts. There are pages on CD Projekt Red websites where they admit that they're committed to DEI. And is she bringing that up? Of course not, because it doesn't fit her narrative. But these people are lazy, they are entitled, and clearly they're slow, given a game like Dragon Age the Veilguard, which was fucking trash, took a decade for them to make. Concord took years and years just for it to come out. It only survived
beautiful.
2 weeks. So, of course, I will be keeping my eye on the situation.
Yeah.
If there are any updates, I, of course, will let you know. But as of right now, it sounds like things are not going good for the Western developers who are under NetEase right now, because they are rumored to be pulling funding from other Western dev studios because they are lazy, entitled, slow, and woke.
Yes. Yes. As are our politicians. Just gonna say it at the end. But yes. And I live, by the way, in Germany, so there's that. And we don't really have freedom of speech here, so maybe I get in trouble for this one, but F it. Now it's out. But as it is, acolytes, good night.